got these earrings from my Littlest Pet Shops in 2014, but hey, at least I look Christmassy.
Oh man, I just knocked over my camera. I'm picking it up. Sorry about that.
Hi my lovelies. Today's video is basically going to be a webkinz theory. I have not done theory videos since I did like my Jack Steiber conspiracy theory videos, if that's even like considered that, because unfortunately I ate up that shit that Shane Dawson did. But anyway, it's gonna be like a conspiracy theory about webkinz, and by webkinz, one webkinz. And by theory about webkinz, we are going to be talking about one person in particular who is a huge part of this game, and that is Dr. Quack, who has since disappeared from his medical position and became mayor. Or no, and was mayor. He is actually no longer mayor, as like breaking news just in. But this all started with me on webkinz one night, just, you know, logging into my account after a decade. And I just wanted to go, you know, in for a checkup. But then I discovered Dr. Quack had retired, which is something I knew, but his clinic used to be on my map still. So I was like confused.
I don't know why I thought he was gonna give me a checkup if he retired.
Back to the story. So I immediately did research, as one would do when they want a checkup from Dr. Quack on webkinz, and he was actually moved to the clubhouse. Okay, that's great. So I take my pet, Stinker, and we get to his office, and I go up to him, and nothing happens. This is the sad result of a checkup I was left with. What if my pet was dying? Actually, that's not possible because they, you know what, we'll get into it. But that's what started it all, just kind of curious on the disappearance of Dr. Quack, and here we are now with the inner truth about Dr. Quack that he doesn't want you to find out. So without further ado, let's dive into the disappearance of Dr. Quack. So Dr. Quack is one of the original hosts of the webkinz world. He was a doctor, actually, in fact, the only doctor in webkinz world. After Dr. Quack graduated medical school, he decided to move to Kinzville after simply discovering that there were no doctors in that area and that the owners had to take their pets to the big city to seek help. And this was all detailed in a report done by Roberta Rabbit for a school project. Anyway, he'd check your pet's heart, their reflexes, and would look in their mouth and ears, typical checkup stuff. He also warned players of their caretaking habits, because back in the day on webkinz, if you like neglected your pet, they could actually get pretty sick, and you would need to take them to the one and only Dr. Quack to really get a solution for the issue and seek care, because he's the only doctor in Kinzville. But on March 3rd of 2015, webkinz News announced the retirement of Dr. Quack. This came as a shock because with that news, he also announced something else that may just blow your mind. He had been working with the help of Goober, who was a mad scientist, and was able to cure all pets of all illnesses, which was what made him really decide to shut his clinic doors once and for all. But what if I told you he worked on this cure simply as a cover-up because he lost his license? Quack is infamous in webkinz, not only for being, well, the only doctor ever, but also the rumors surrounding his potential malpractice. To keep his good reputation, he went to work with Goober to settle this once and for all, so he could shut his doors on his own terms, or so he thought. But he also wanted more power than just being a doctor, which is why he decided to run for mayor in 2016's Kinzville elections, which he was successful at, being elected as second mayor on December 1st, 2016. He also re-ran for re-election, but he lost to Sophie Stockwell. This defeat did not stop him though, because in 2020 he was re-elected as mayor of Kinzville, and even ran for re-election in 2022. And now that you've heard this, you're probably like,
Leave this humble man alone, he loves his people.
Or should I say his animals. But do not fall for his charade. We haven't even gotten into who truly Dr. Quack is. And to get there, we're gonna need to start with the root of the cause, with these rumors surrounding Dr. Quack that started in 2007 with the webkinz craze. The rise of webkinz, if you will. Various different claims started popping up about killers in webkinz world that would harm your pets. There were actually many different like creepypastas or stories being spread. So the webkinz killer isn't just a term referring to Dr. Quack, he just happened to be one of the more popular rumors. His role in the game led to a lot of speculation on alleged psychotic behaviors. You could apparently make him so mad that he would attack your pet. Theories from visiting him at midnight to clicking his poster in his room 32 times. There were sure a lot of slandering of his name during this time, but the theory that made the most sense has to do with your pet getting sick. So pets and webkinz actually have health meters if you've never played before, and as I said before, if you neglect your pets enough in this game, they could get sick at the time. So naturally, this concept led to rumors about Dr. Quack giving your pet a pill that was actually in fact poison, resulting in their on-screen death. Now, keeping this information in mind, I think this point particularly is the perfect segue into why his retirement in 2015 was indeed the perfect cover-up. Another thing tying into my suspicions about Dr. Quack is actually his significant other, who is Miss Birdy. If you haven't played in years, and take a look at Mrs. Birdy in 2022, you'll be shocked to say the least by the noticeable differences in her appearance. There are only two logical reasons for this drastic change. Let's start with contender number 1. The obvious.
Plastic surgery.
Now, plastic surgery could be a field that Dr. Quack isn't necessarily licensed in, but we know for a fact that he's not licensed in plastic surgery. What makes me think this is a possibility is an interview done with Ella McWolf shortly after the change was made. Now, Ella McWolf only implies that she's had plastic surgery, and Miss Birdy immediately makes a reference towards Dr. Quack. She also makes several puns related to him around this topic as the interview progresses. Besides, she's not the only one in town that's gotten in on this, it seems. I mean, Persephone is mentioned in this article as the one who convinced Miss Birdy, meaning realistically she could have been his first client in town, which could easily explain my point earlier on his license potentially being taken away, because it's illegal since he is actually not licensed in plastic surgery, which would result in his license being revoked. So the cure he worked so hard on with Goober was found really just in the nick of time. And moving on to contender number 2, that Dr. Quack is actually impersonating Miss Birdy. This is actually ironic because there's another webkinz rumor that is literally the other way around, saying that Miss Birdy would dress up like Dr. Quack and commit murders. That's not the only one either. The more popular story is her sending out black letters to users that could kill your pet. But anyway, take a second to look at her appearance again. Let's start with her eyes, miraculously changing from hazel to brown. I know that brown and hazel are different shades of each other, but I just thought it was still kind of notable. Anyway, but you know who does have brown eyes? Dr. Quack. Her voice also sounds slightly different with this appearance change, kind of like someone could
be impersonating her?
So the only video I could find of Miss Birdy's voice back then so that I could give you guys an example of what I was talking about, because obviously no one's going to remember that, is very bad quality, obviously made by a child. There's someone laughing, but I want to show it anyway. So here's Miss Birdy's voice then, and then a video I filmed of her tonight.
Welcome to the Adoption Center. My name is Miss Birdy. Since this is your first time adopting a webkinz, you need to register as a new user.
Hello there. I'm Ms. Birdy. I run the Adoption Center here in Kinsville. Are you looking to start a new account on Webkinz World?
Moving on to her new eyebrows, which she didn't have before, but do you know who has eyebrows? You'll never guess. Dr. Quack. Now, the shape of her head. Who does it remind you of? Take a second. Think. It's Dr. fucking Quack. Dr. Quack having potentially murdering millions of pets under his belt, what would really stop him from murdering the love of his life? So to maintain his reputation once again, he is now forced to, he made this decision. Now to cover it all up and avoid being caught, he now has to try to impersonate his lover. And failed because I clearly caught him in his lie. So that was my theory about Dr. Quack. Obviously don't take any of this too seriously. And yeah, it was kind of fun to do one of these since I used to do these a lot in 2019. This type of video, obviously this is nothing like what I used to do in 2019. I love making unnecessary reaches. Webkinz lore is actually quite interesting, and I think I need to really catch myself up to speed on it. And yeah, condolences to Dr. Quack and his recent campaign loss. Anyway, that's all for today, and I will see you guys in my next video.